Right, good morning, everybody. Trust you are all well. Welcome to Miro's IP conference. My name is Elmer Ubiquiti, and as part of my portfolio here at Miro is taking care of Ubiquiti. Pride and joy of Miro, and we'll be looking at starting your own WISP and how these applications can assist you within your point-to-point and point-to-multipoint applications. Quick shout out to GrantStream for IP video talk. Thank you for hosting, and let's get this ball on the road. Right, again, people, thank you very much for joining. As I've mentioned, my name is Elmo Ubiquiti, and it is my pleasure to introduce Ubiquiti to you today. May I please ask in the box, the chat box, if everybody can see my IPCon desktop screen? Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ted. Right, guys, let's get into it. As I've said, welcome. This is an amazing product portfolio, and we can definitely assist you connecting communities. Okay. Right, Ubiquiti, the global standard for connectivity. This is definitely something that if you know my portfolio within Miro, something that I use often. As I said, I'm very proud of Ubiquiti and what it's been doing in the field. So without further ado, again, my face. For those of you that haven't met me yet, yeah, that is me for future reference. Welcome to the revolution. Today's agenda, we'll be having a look at wireless has come a long way, but why? I think it's important to understand the infrastructure of wireless connectivity, introduction to wireless, building outdoor wireless links, Ubiquiti's introduction to airFibre and airMax, Ubiquiti's revolution to evolution, point-to-point airFibre, point-to-multipoint, which of course is your airMax range, airMax features, and incredibly excited to introduce to you the LTU technology, and then of course using one centralized management platform, namely UNMS, that you can manage and monitor your network. Wireless has come a long way, but why? So it is really with no doubt that we live in a wireless era. If you consider consumers, for instance, they're always looking for bigger this and better that, more speed, and what is the latest, all while they enjoy the convenience of a wireless connection. So if you look at WISP, for instance, especially if you're starting up, you're looking at deployment opportunities. And if you are looking at deployment opportunities, then Ubiquiti is the brand, especially with the new LTU technology and equipment that is now available at Miro. Definitely something that I can't wait to share with you guys. We'll discuss this a bit later, but considering how far we have come with technology in the last couple of years, there always seems to be a problem, or a situation rather, hindering the progress. If you think about estates and big property developments, they're not always so enthusiastic when it comes to digging trenches for fiber, and deploying in high density areas, of course, creates noise interference. Longer distance links, of course, can generate poor performance, especially if there's no clear line of sight available. And to top it all off, many network deployments require expensive and license fee software. So not particularly ideal if you are a startup WISP. Benefits of the Ubiquiti wireless link is that it is high-speed, long-range wireless connectivity, pure IP internet corporate videos, which is, of course, assisted by the pure IP, and it is fast to deploy. If you think about it, there's no earthworks and accessible to entrepreneurs, means that there's a low-cost deployment. There's always a growth in demand for broadband, and your services can be applied to homeowners, businesses, public and private sectors. So good overall portfolio that you can assist these applications with. Introduction to wireless. So if you're looking there at high capacity load balancing, outdoor network coverage, the scalability and network management, and of course, our friends at ICASA, regulating body in South Africa. Starting with high capacity and load balancing, wireless networks were originally planned for coverage only, but with all the smartphones and tablets and laptops, as I've mentioned previously, out there, today's wireless network must be planned for capacity. With the increased demand on both your wireless and wired infrastructure, you must incorporate high capacity with load balancing. This means when one access point, for instance, is overloaded, the system will actually shift users from one access point to another. Of course, this is depending on your capacity that is available. Then your outdoor network coverage, things to consider, obviously, when you are deploying from a base station is how many radios are actually on your tower? What is the nearest tower from you? Like I said, interference is obviously something that we need to have a look at and to consider. And then, of course, your range in your network is also something that you can consider. So good news for you guys on UNMS, you can actually set this up, but we'll talk about that in a bit. With scalability, of course, the growth in popularity for new wireless devices will only continue to increase. There's definitely a market and it is increasing. Your network needs to have the ability to start small if necessary, but it also has to expand in terms of coverage and capacity as needed. So in other words, future planning your link. Without having an overall or build an entire new network. As you all know, startup can be quite expensive, and I don't think anyone wants to start up every time that there is a spike in growth or capacity that is required. With network management, you need to have a smarter way of managing the entire network from a centralized point. In other words, deploying a network management system that will give you the ability and so much more, like UNMS with monitoring and managing. The free management platform, I have to add, has numerous attributes to benefit you as a WISP. Of course, we will touch base on that in a moment. ICASA, I'm sure that all of you joining this has some story or some friend at ICASA, but for those of you that don't know, ICASA is responsible for regulating the communication industry in South Africa. They regulate the use of unlicensed bands, such as 2.4 and 5 gigahertz connections. But in the case of Ubiquiti, they also approve licensed link requirements, such as the airFiber 11 gigahertz for backhaul solutions. We'll touch base on these in a bit as we go through the product line of Ubiquiti and how to incorporate that into your networks. But ICASA is also responsible to ensure your frequency can be efficiently allocated and coordinated. Services can be provided in underserviced areas, which is a big plus for WISPs out there. The market and the competition, therefore, is then regulated, and that consumers are protected when dealing with service providers. Right. Let's have a look at building outdoor wireless links. We will definitely be discussing investing in spectrum, throughput, link distancing, and tolerance for interference. With outdoor wireless networks, while not new, are becoming more and more in demand. And truth be told, they're becoming more and more intimidating because it is hard to account for all the variables. Mira has been assisting our clients with outdoor wireless designs for quite some time now, and we want to talk about some of these aspects to consider. And for the next couple of slides, I have to tell you the official curse word for Ubiquiti's presentation will be interference. Right. Investing in spectrum, of course, is scarce, and it's also a valuable resource. Spectrum is likely to face greater congestion in years to come as we add devices and technology grows. As unlicensed spectrum offers no control over the priority of data transmission or then, of course, the network availability. Investing in licensed spectrum is therefore the first step in protecting your network into the future, or alternatively, you can look at unlicensed ISM bands with products like Ubiquiti LTU. Guys, you'll hear that I'm talking about LTU technology quite a considerable amount of times because it is revolutionary and it's got us quite excited. Let's have a look at airFiber, for instance. If you take into consideration your point-to-point backhaul solutions, now that is with link distancing, it is something that we would need to consider. So guys, I'm just trying to find, there we go. Link distancing, it is something to consider, especially if you are looking at unlicensed links. Okay? And of course, throughput and tolerance interference. So let's start with ISM bands, which is unlicensed and licensed. As you can see, airMax, of course, performs incredibly well within a point-to-multipoint solution in unlicensed bands of 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. And if you think about it, with all the technology, the patented technology, in actual fact, from Ubiquiti, such as airPrism, it performs incredibly well, as I've said, in these point-to-multipoint solutions. It's also added to their portfolio a 60 gigahertz gigabeam, which of course is for your shorter distances and higher throughput requirements, and of course the long-awaited LTU that we will talk about and how that uses frequency division, etc. going forward. With airFiber also performing quite well in 2.4 and 5 gigahertz with your unlicensed bands. Of course, it also has a position in 11 gigahertz, which of course is your licensed bands. We'll talk about duplexing in a minute, just as we progress with this presentation. With throughput, the network throughput refers to how much data can be transferred from source to destination within a given time frame. So data capacity then sits at the top of the list of features which will determine the network provider you choose. Understanding both your current requirements and allowing for growth over the expected life of the network is quite important. Capacity planning is an integral part of the network design process. I'm sure all of you can recognize the Netflix and Spotify type of services that all of us enjoy, and that's good throughput is quite important. Bandwidth, however, is not just about bits, bit rates per second. If you're looking for innovation around compression rates, high order modulation, if you look, for instance, MIMO versus SISO, and full duplexing, as I've mentioned, with 11 gigahertz, this will just basically ensure your investment in spectrum is optimized through the efficient utilization. Basically what this means, if your radio operates in MIMO, you can serve more clients concurrently with higher throughput and decreased latency for a better overall performance. If you look at the diagram, you will see there with SISO, you can only serve one device at a time, and with MIMO, you can send and receive data at the same time. Right, let's have a look at link distance. Of course, things to consider there is the natural curvature of the Earth. When we do link planning, and we'll show you in a minute with regards to the Fresnel zone and what you can see on UNMS, when you are wanting to deploy a link, line of sight, of course, is also important. And with link projections from UNMS, like I said, your link will be, you can see whether your link will be sufficient for your requirements. Of course, this is before you deploy. Right. Also, things to consider is a higher dBi will cause the radios to transmit much further because the transmission is very concentrated. On tolerance for interference, as you know, high sites can get quite congested with interference if there are many radios on the same tower, and of course, around your tower. You would basically choose equipment that you can count on performing at an optimal level, even if interference increase, right? So monitoring the interference If you look at setting up your network with a link planner, as I've just mentioned with the UNMS, you can use a radio with higher dBi, consider licensed frequencies, and the hardware that have proprietary protocol I've mentioned, like the airPrism. Next in line for our presentation today is the introduction. So it is with great pleasure that I get to introduce you to Ubiquiti airFibre and airMax. So these two solutions of Ubiquiti sustains world-class links with innovative technology in both licensed and unlicensed bands. In the last couple of years, as the possibility grew with the wireless industry, as you all know, the customer demands kind of trended. And within a few years, the landscape for WISPs have changed. We need to sometimes take a moment to realize where Ubiquiti has actually started, to understand and appreciate why Ubiquiti is the leader in wireless networks. Thriving in providing wireless solutions to enterprise applications, entrepreneurs, especially starting up, businesses, and then of course, public sectors and even live events, all while connecting communities across the globe. With powerful software features, scalable and flexible systems, Ubiquiti will add the intuitive user experience in establishing your wireless link, providing world-class service to your subscribers. But if we have a look at airFibre, for instance, with the Backhaul solutions, licensed link 11 gigahertz, as I've mentioned, with throughput capabilities of over a gigabit. airMax, point-to-point links, and of course, like I've mentioned, it performs incredibly well in a point-to-multipoint application with unlicensed links, gigabit plus, and then of course your new LTU technology. Starting with airFibre in a backhaul solution, Ubiquiti stands proudly chest to chest with high-performing carrier-grade equipment and will continue to cause a disruption in the market when it comes to pricing. airFibre produces low latency and long-range links with revolutionary performance, and of course this is achieved by delivering gigabit plus performances. Designed to be a high-performing backhaul, airFibre performs at a range of up to 30 kilometers on your licensed links and over 100 kilometers on your unlicensed links with products such as the 5X HD. This just makes it the ideal solution for carrier backhaul and of course in your point-to-point solutions. Low latency backhaul and the 5 gigahertz, which is your unlicensed bands. airFibre operates in both your frequency division duplexing, which is of course your full duplex mode that we'll talk about now in the licensed links, resulting in an increased efficiency for carrier class network in your point-to-point solutions. Of course, airFibre also operates in the world's license-free 5 gigahertz frequency, but there's also a licensed link that is one of the most cost-effective links that we currently have in South Africa. airFibre is licensed 11 gigahertz. For those of you that have airFibre deployed already, will recognize that this looks a little bit different to the normal 35 dBi antennas, and of course with the radio that was separate. Ubiquiti has subsequently taken a decision or has made up their minds on a complete kit. So the complete kit, of course, consists of the same 11 gigahertz radio with one low-band duplexer and the 35 dBi antennas in one compact unit. It carries the same attributes such as 30-kilometer range, ultra-low latency, licensed frequency, plug-and-play flexibility installation, and of course, over a gigabit throughput that we can expect within South Africa. A little bit more about the low band duplexers, or the duplexers then at least. As I've mentioned, you receive a duplexer within the complete unit. This then enables a SISO mode link, or a SISO link. If you add another additional low-band duplexer, still on the 40 megahertz channel, it will increase your throughput to over a gigabit on a MIMO link. Okay, this of course assists on this platform of generating and future-proofing your link. Again, elements to take into consideration: low latency, no interference. Okay. Of course, one of the benefits that our business partners enjoy with Miro is the assistance in link planning, which in turn can assist you when the need is there for you to apply for a licensed link at ICASA, which means that we can assist you with the steps to take when applying for a link, and of course, we can assist in your actual link planning itself. In an unlicensed band, as I've mentioned, the airFibre 5X HD, airFibre implements the most efficient use of licensed and unlicensed band spectrum. Of course, the 5X HD being part of the unlicensed band spectrum. So a vital attribute in increasingly crowded RF environments is, of course, the GPS synchronization, for instance. And if you have a look at the radios, of course, an ultra-low latency as well. By employing a unique antenna design with proprietary self-interference cancellation algorithms, airFibre extracts more usable channels out of the actual available spectrum than any other comparable radio in its class, basically. So airFibre has a built-in configuration tool that will guide the selection of the RF channel bandwidths, transmit power, and other parameters to minimize interference. Okay, which of course has the potential to optimize link budget. Moving from airFibre onto airMax. airMax, as I've mentioned, thrives in a point-to-multipoint network, of course, where there are 3 or more locations using one base station, of course, then which is like your access point, and then multiple CPEs, which is often referred to as stations, okay, connected to your access point. The point-to-multipoint performance depends on both sides of the link. So if the goal is long distances, for instance, it is important to choose the right base station and the right CPEs for each case. Ubiquiti products offers improved latency, noise immunity, and then of course, scalability, while supporting high data rates for dense modulation. Okay? We'll talk about some of the airMax technology that features within a point-to-multipoint application. And this way of wireless communication really just carries features that will enhance high-speed connectivity, and of course it is fast to deploy. Looking at the attributes, TDMA protocol, the airMax GPS synchronization with AirPrism technology, airMax technology, LTU, and of course the UNMS technology. But let's have a look at TDMA. Now, TDMA, of course, stands for your time division multiple access, which is a communication technology from Ubiquiti. It facilitates many users to share the same frequency without interference. So unlike standard Wi-Fi protocols, airMax allows each client to send and receive data using pre-designated time slots. With over 100 CPEs that can be connected to your base station, it is good to have technology that also features packet prioritization like these. This feature will also assist in eliminating, or rather eliminating interference and maximizing efficiency. By doing that, your latency or delay, in other words, improves your link and even assists in better throughput. As you can see there, it will assist with eliminating hidden node collisions as well for a faster connection. GPS synchronization will assist with co-location interference. It is perfect for high-density deployments as well, where interference can hinder a connection. The GPS sync will eliminate problems that occur with multiple access points that are on the same tower. This often then not happens, especially when you deploy within a high-density area. GPS sync is enabled. All synchronized access points will transmit at the same time and receive at the same time, which then reduces your, well, drastically reduces interference. Of course, then increases your link performance. AirPrism the revolutionary technology and patented technology by Ubiquiti is especially designed for high-density deployments. This technology basically works by isolating the signal on your network within the operating channel and then rejects all of the interference. As you can see on the image, the radio sees a clean signal, which then in turn promotes your wireless performance with enhanced data rates. It also enhances the isolation for any interference, that curse word again, we're trying to get rid of. Let's have a look at some of the airMax base stations that is available for us. Again, usually located on top of a tower, building or mast. The height will determine maximum coverage. So when planning a base station, it is usually ideal to plan for an antenna with the smallest coverage that still covers the desired area. Antennas with wider beam width covering a wider zone, reaching more stations, may be more susceptible to interference, which will then result in a decreased performance. To take advantage of the airMax air prism technology, as I've mentioned, when you require your high-performance links within an airMax rocket, for instance. So the airMax rockets also perform very well in high-density areas, of course, having attributes such as GPS synchronization and can be combined with a variety of antenna. If you have a look at the gigabeam at the bottom, as I've mentioned previously, with the unlicensed bands, that is the 60 gigahertz equipment, the prism station, your rocket radio, and then of course, even as far as your light access points, or your APACs, the sector antennas. Some of the subscriber stations, per the example, you can see airMax cages for short, medium, and even longer distance requirements. And Ubiquiti has high power devices with superior directive antenna, and then of course, great range. Great performance, scalability, future-proofing your links with world-class features. These are but a few attributes that add to the Ubiquiti legacy. 15 kilometers, have a look at the Lightbeam 5AC, 25, Lightbeam 5AC LR, the long-range version, Powerbeam 5AC, and of course, for shorter links, use your NanoBeam 5ACs. LTU Technology is finally here. As I've mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the curse word is interference. This is, however, the last time it will be mentioned. Ubiquiti's third generation in wireless hardware, introducing airMax LTU. So this is really breaking through the limitations of 802.11 AC technology by adding more complex modulation rates, which of course then assists you. We can end up with a solution with unmatched spectral efficiency, noise resiliency, and scalability to power long-range fixed wireless networks for new, or let's just call it for the new internet. In other words, the application requirements from any good wireless link. But what does this all mean in actual fact for a wireless network? So Ubiquiti has designed a custom chipset with performance enhancing features. Okay? This basically creates a flexible operating channel with independent frequency configuration. So this is where the trick lies. Meaning the sending and the receiving frequency is independent from each other, all while, of course, eliminating local interference. It is called the frequency split. This is what you need to future-proof your next link. The LTU rockets, for instance, now perform over 600 megabits per second throughput. And with future firmware that's been confirmed by Ubiquiti, these upgrades are soon to happen, and you'll look at a gigabit throughput with over 250 connected clients. So let's just take a step back and understand why you can now add so much more subscribers to one access point. Before we take that step, however, I wanted to imagine a deployment in a high density area with no interference. Imagine what this will do for your clients. Okay, so due to the frequency split with the upload and download link, basically called duty cycles, you can now reach clients with a small channel width of 10 to 20 megahertz. So the LTUs operate between 10 megahertz and a 50 megahertz spectrum. In other words, if you send on 50 megahertz and you've got a CPE replying on a 10 megahertz, means that you will still have that link. And with the 10 megahertz channel, you'll have more throughput to disperse between the other links that are part of your LTU solution. You will basically be able to reach the previously unreachable. These units deliver 2 million packets per second, which improves your throughput, which will basically just add to your success. All of this new technology still has attributes with GPS synchronization that will add to your stable connection, which in turn means less packet drops. Right, so perfect for long distance links, flexible bandwidth, avoids local interference, and its unmatched superior link performance. Let's have a look at the LTU family. The rocket, of course, being on the left-hand side, you've got all three CPEs, and as you can see, there is a certain range attached to these CPEs. Okay. The rocket, as I've mentioned, features as the base station in the LTU family. With 5 gigahertz, the LTU rocket functions predominantly in a point-to-multipoint environment, using the LTU Pro, Lite, and the LTU LR as your client equipment. The Ubiquiti airMax LTU family is the industry's first end-to-end customized point-to-multipoint platform technology. Best part, there's no subscription fees. It is affordable with these enhanced features. It is definitely a solution that you can trust for your next wireless needs. The only hurdle with the LTU technology, it is unfortunately not backwards compatible with the Ubiquiti equipment currently on the field. However, start with the LTU and you will never look back again. Having all of these features available to you as a point-to-multipoint solution or even your point-to-point applications, let's have a look at how you can, in actual fact, monitor these applications and manage them from one centralized management platform. Right. The Ubiquiti Network Management System, UNMS, allows you to configure, upgrade, and monitor several different Ubiquiti devices. And the best part of this is, it is free. With UNMS, you can deploy your airMax networks with no software licensing or support fees. The features such as AirLink, you can simulate your links to determine line of sight, your Fresnel zone clearance, you can do link budgeting, and you can even have a look at what is your expected throughput before deploying these hardware into the field. Right. There's even an app available on the App Store and Google Play Store, which you can schedule mass network upgrades. But before I get ahead of myself, let's have a look at some of these features going forward. With AirLink, as I've mentioned, AirLink will provide you with a pretty fair indication of your network before you need to deploy. You'll be able to simulate your link with your prospective signal strength based on your product capabilities. So for instance, have a look at Fresnel zone clearance and other location requirements. And all of this will be made available to you in your simulation. You can change your channel width to the spectrum that is allowed, and this will then indicate the best throughput. If you click on the generate terrain coverage option, this will enable you to have a look at the terrain, what the coverage is with the hardware that you are looking to deploy, which then means that you don't have to add all of the CPEs in your network to see what the throughput is. The terrain coverage will create, let's call it a heat map, basically for you to work from and indicate the optimum service area where you can serve from. Again, as I've asked with link planning in regards to the 11 gigahertz or the licensed links, Miro can assist you with your next solution plan. Let's have a look at your deployment options. You can now pretty much set up your infrastructure from the app on your phone, available from App Store, as I've mentioned, in Google. You can basically just download it, install it, and it has the same functionality as your UNMS. UNMS configuration, think about your intuitive link and RF environments. You can have straight on visualization of what it will actually look like. And of course, this visualization will provide you with a choice to make and how you can then easily optimize your radio performances. Network management. The nice thing about network management is that you can schedule a mass network upgrade. Let's say, for instance, 2 o'clock in the morning, between 2 and 3, for instance, you can schedule that network upgrade so there's very little interference with your clients, system monitoring, and of course, the overall performance analytics. Operating and accounting, especially if you've got CPEs and people that you need to bill, basically everything you need to run and scale your ISP business. Okay. You can set up plans, suspend service, and more. When I say suspend service, you just leave enough there for your clients to make a bank transfer, an EFT, and all of this control from one platform. Network management is so important. I've added the slide twice. So if I said I've missed it 2 slides ago, another mass network slide, important for those upgrades schedules. So to conclude, Ubiquiti, true to their form, has generated a portfolio of products that are accessible, that are affordable, and as I've mentioned numerous times, scalable. This will generate endless possibilities for WISPs. Okay. Connect with Miro and ask us about our service options to do Ubiquiti solution, and then of course the various training programs that we have from our very own Miro Academy. Again, thank you Grandstream IP Video Talk, and to everyone that has joined this presentation, welcome to the revolution that is Ubiquiti. Right, so I think we're quite well on time, with perhaps 5 or 10 minutes to spare. So if everyone or anyone has any questions, let's have a quick look. Can I start with Paul? I see that you were first in line. Is the 11 gigahertz band only for Ubiquiti? This is only for Ubiquiti, as far as I know, Paul. I just also wanted to quickly add, within the airFiber range, there is in actual fact a 3.5 gigahertz as well, which is currently owned by Liquid Telecoms. I do know that they let people basically piggyback on that link, so you can speak to Liquid Telecoms. They own that 3.5 license. There is another 4.9 megahertz license spectrum, but unfortunately that is only available for your military. And then there are 1 or 2 other licenses as well, or licensed frequencies, like for instance the 24 gigahertz band. And we keep the equipment with Miro for clients that are based, for instance, in Namibia, where the spectrum is available. Unfortunately, that is not available in South Africa. Dieter, does one retrofit these 2 existing radios? Okay, Dieter, there is 1 or 2 things to consider, especially when you are adding to an existing platform or a network. There are certain restrictions with regards to M range, AC range, and then of course now the new LTU range. The LTU range, as I've mentioned, unfortunately is not backward compatible with any other previous Ubiquiti equipment. There are, like I said, 1 or 2 things that we need to consider. Always start updating your base stations first. So if you've got an M range, for instance, in your base station and your CPEs are ACs, they will not talk to your base station. If your base station is AC and your CPEs are M range, which is more legacy range with Ubiquiti, then they'll talk. But that's pretty much where we are with configuration. So just take that in consideration when you add additional hardware to your networks. How can I get the price list? Wilson, you phone our dedicated sales team. They're more than happy to go through the portfolio exactly on what units we have available. The nice thing about Miro is that we are a stock holding company, which means that the units are readily available. We've got a technical department as well that can assist you with, like I've mentioned so many times, with training, etc. They will be able to assist you with your equipment requirements and pricing. Peter, that's perfect. Thank you so much. In terms of accounting, how do I think with South African accounts to receive payments? So I would like to speak to you separately from this platform. Please excuse me if I'm mispronouncing this, but Mr. Nkoleko, please get in touch with me. My email address, in actual fact, let me just do this for you. Elmo at miro.co.za. If you want to connect with me on a personal level, if you have one or two more questions. Marco has mentioned, as part of a business partner, you do get a price list that is available on our website. You just need to register with us and we can accommodate you with your needs there. Thank you, Marco. Registered at Miro, Wilson. That's perfect, Wilson. So if you're registered, all you need to do is log into the website with your login details, and per your business partner, your price list will come up. You can just have a look there what you need. Two sessions were at the same time. Mr. Slobbert, yes, but these presentations are also recorded. So if you speak with myself or Maggie, which is the Micritic PM, I'm sure that we can have a look at what we can present to you. If you've got any questions on either, however, please do not hesitate to get in contact with us. How do I minimize RF interference? So Chris, again, I'm not too sure what your application is, whether it be point to multi-point. Minimizing interference will help with regards to product placement. As I've mentioned, the AC range of Ubiquiti on airMax side has things like airPrism technology that isolates your signal within the operating channel. That will assist with interference. If you are a new WISP that's starting up, for instance, I would definitely encourage you to start with the LTU technology. It's future-proofing your links, and it is revolutionary to the whole wireless industry. Also, Maggie, thank you, Drish, for sharing Maggie's details there. Maggie, as I've mentioned, is the PM for Micritic, and I'm sure that you're welcome just to send her a mail. These presentations be made available to download. Dinesh, I think what you can do is, again, just speak to me separately on what you would need with regards to various presentations that Miro is presenting between today and tomorrow, and let's see how we can assist you there. Right. If that is everybody, so I'm just having a look. Andrew, Barry, Charles. Right, oh, Paul, any beamforming function planned? Paul, again, I will be happy to discuss with you beamforming. I just want to understand what your application is. When you say beamforming, are you referring to your base station, or are you more referring to reaching your CPEs through your base station? I just want to understand the context. You're welcome to, like I said, email me separately. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it. UNMS, awesome, love the product. Thank you very, very much, Charles. Great to hear that we've got more Ubiquiti fans. Paul, thank you. I look forward to your email. Unfortunately, I am running into a little bit of a time constraint. LTU is available in point-to-point. Currently, it is residing in the radio called airFiber 5X HD. So yeah, please connect with us and we can assist you with your backhaul solutions. It is, however, unfortunately only available in that unlicensed link. Right, everybody, unfortunately, my time is up. I greatly appreciate you guys spending some time with me. I look forward to your emails, and we will take it from there. Have an incredibly blessed day, and we'll chat soon. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.